Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is the Collision review show, and that means only one thing. I am joined by my my good friend and AEW guru, the problem child, Mr. Dave Robinson. Good evening, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, mate. How are you?
I'm all good. This is the final show before my Turnbuckle out of office goes on for the week. So you have the pleasure of my company.
I think you've earned a break, mate, to be honest.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. But before we start, I just want to thank everyone that's tuned in on Apple Podcasts, making us the 34th highest in the UK podcast charts. We are up there with the likes of Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick at WWE's After the Bell. We're above Booker T. So can you dig that, sucker? So we're above Booker T. But just thanks everyone so much for joining and listening to us on Apple. The YouTube stuff's doing great as well. So again, thanks again for that. But Dave, it's Collision time. Now, before we start on Collision, there's just one piece of news which we kind of spoke about briefly on the Dynamite show. We wasn't sure if Bryan Danielson had sustained an injury. It turns out it is the case. He's got a fractured orbital bone and will at least miss the rest of this year. Big shame, Dave.
Yeah, it is. And another one in the list of injuries for him in recent times. And he's running AEW, really. That's third injury. But this one, really unlucky. Obviously an Impact one. I presume it's, as they say, either from the Orange Punch or from the Rainmaker. Yeah. That's certainly the story they told us on Collision. So you got to feel for the guy. At the same time, though, they got plenty of people like Claudio who can really pick up the mantle. You know, I thought his promo on Collision was really good. And his match on Collision was, packed a punch as well, quite literally. Yeah. So Danielson will be back. And I'm sure he'll still be involved backstage and we'll still get some great matches. Hopefully he'll be returned for World's End, because that will be right at the end of the year. So it'd be great if they could get him back for then.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be good to get him back. And we send, obviously, our well wishes again to Mr. Danielson and get better soon. They were live from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut, WWE territory.
Yeah, it was good. Good crowd, I thought. Really good. Yeah.
Yes, it certainly was. Opened up with an absolute stonker of a match between Jay White, obviously with the Bullet Club, and AR Fox. Match was really good. Now, what I liked about this particular match, and it sort of starts at the beginning and it ends at the end, was there was a sequence where Jay White went for a sort of double-handed chop or a clothesline. AR Fox done the little nip-up thing.
Yeah.
Caught him earlier on in the match. But later on in the match, he tries it again and gets caught, and he goes straight into the switchblade, and Jay White picks up the victory. I love the way they used that at the start and the finish. It was great, sort of, I suppose they call it ring psychology from Jay White, but it was great planning that they went to do do that spot at the start, and then to do it at the end to make it Jay White then thought, well, I know what he's doing here. Bang, switchblade, end. But a great start to Collision.
It's what we talk about in the telling stories. That's exactly what they did in this match. And it was how Jay White could overcome real tough opposition and a great opponent in AR Fox, and we haven't seen much of him in recent weeks. No. Kind of since he left the Mogul Embassy, and there was that storyline with Darby and Nick Wayne. But it was great to see him back, and really did showcase what he can do. He's an absolute star, AR Fox. He slots into AEW so nicely in terms of his style. He can have great matches with guys like Jay White. He can have great matches with guys like Dante Martin. And any of the luchadors. So yeah, I'm glad that we got that feature match on Collision, and as you say, what a match it was.
Yeah, what a great start. MJF tried to nick the belt back.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch as well. That was a nice little touch.
Yes.
He kind of scarpered though when he saw the four of them. But yeah, he's trying to get his Triple B back.
He did. He was unsuccessful, unfortunately. But the action didn't stop there for Bullet Club Gold. Straight after that, Dalton Castle and the Boys walk out. The Guns are already in the ring at this point, but as one of the boys tries to get into the ring, Colton cuts him off, boots him in the corner. They've lariated Boy 2 by Austin 3, and then they hit the 310. And that is done and dusted. Done and dusted. Quick win for the Guns at this point, but just to solidify the Guns as one of the top teams in the division at the moment.
It does, and it's another victory with their finisher, the 310 to Yuma, which was executed really well as well. It's been announced that the Guns will be challenging MJF and maybe Adam Cole. It's a question mark, obviously, because Adam Cole's still injured. But that looks like it's going to happen 0 Hour at Full Gear.
Okay.
So yeah, that's another element of the Bullet Club feud and Bullet Club story with MJF.
Would you expect the Guns to win the titles?
I'm really unsure, to be honest. It depends on the long-term situation with Adam Cole, because MJF's already defended the titles on his own once against the Righteous, which really didn't do a great deal for the Righteous after they'd really picked up some momentum. And I know a lot of fans are enjoying their vignettes and their overall presentation, as well as their matches. So for a team to lose to one man, even if that one man is the world champion, it's not something that you want. You don't want that to be happening a lot. So it really does factor on Adam Cole's physical status and how soon he's going to be able to return to the ring. I've still got my suspicions about the Man in the Mask stuff. But aside from that, you've got the Ring of Honor tag team titles that have got to be, they've got to be decided one way or another. So yeah, I think until we know a little bit more news, hopefully something in the next week or two, it's a hard one to predict, but I certainly wouldn't be strongly against the Guns wearing gold in AEW again, albeit the Ring of Honor titles.
Exactly that. Yeah, I think if Adam Cole isn't good to go, I think it makes sense to put it on the Guns. When he comes back. We get a very nice and very evil package from Danhausen. We're going to see him soon, which would be good to see him back. Ryan Nemeth was there and he said he needs some management, so he's knocking on the door of CJ Perry. However, CJ Perry isn't in that room when he knocks. No. The Redeemer is. Ryan Nemeth.
I love that. He was like, yeah, come in.
Come in. Yeah. You'll be leaving an ambulance, but come in.
Yeah, we might not see him for a few weeks.
Yeah, he might be conspicuous by his absence for the last few weeks. We had the women's world title match next. Now, this was brilliant. So, for those of you who didn't watch Rampage, is it Abandon? That's her name, isn't it? Abadon. There you go. She won a match to become the number one contender for Shida's title. So, she took on Shida on Collision. It was actually a little bit of it was a Halloween fight night. So it was like a no DQ. They covered the ring in decorations. She at one point during this match, Shida jumped to the top rope with a stick or whatever it's called, a broomstick,
witch's
broom, and she landed. It landed in a very conspicuous space where you can understand the broom was between her legs. So,
yeah.
Go figure that. It wasn't as bad as NWA. You had people snorting cocaine on that show.
I heard.
Just think about that. But this match was a bit of fun. It was good to see Abadon though, because I hadn't seen her in a while. I've seen her post a lot of stuff. She'd gotten herself in a bit more better condition. It looks good to see her. Shida picks up the win, which wasn't really a major surprise, but it was still. It's nice to see a bit of differentiation in the matches. It's nice to see two people that you haven't seen in a while. Well, with Abadon anyway, Shida against Abadon that we haven't seen in a while go against each other.
Yeah, and we saw like the Memphis Street Fight style match a few weeks ago or last week with Kingston and Jarrett. So it's nice that the women are booked similarly.
That's it. That's
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
because that's what we've talked about on the show in the past, that they should be getting booked the same or the same opportunities as the men. And I thought they did really well. Abadon has got a real cult following, and I know a lot of people were glad to see her back on Rampage, but a little bit surprised that she picked up the win in that fatal four-way to go on to Collision for the title shot. But she's certainly done herself no harm in terms of where she may be now in the next few weeks and months. She's definitely in with a shout to have a run on the main roster, whether that be Dynamite or Collision. She's very different. She's got some very unique, different offense as well, not just the way she looks, the way she performs. So I was really pleased for her to get that spotlight and get that opportunity. And hopefully they don't just wheel her out every Halloween, because I'm pretty sure the last time we saw her wasn't last year, it was the year before, around the Halloween period. I'm sure she had a match with Britt Baker. So yeah, let's give her. She seemed a bit less like a zombie now than she was when we saw her previously. Yeah. It wasn't as spooky and silly. So yeah, I certainly hope that we see more of Abadon.
Speaking of someone that we want to see more of, Timeless Tony Storm made a brief appearance during it. She dived across the announce table. I've seen a video on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, where she pulls an orange out of her butt. Well, no, she doesn't literally pull it out of her backside, but she puts her hand down her tights that she's wearing or whatever she's wearing, pulls orange out, gives it to Tony Schiavone. She is one of the most entertaining characters so far. She portrays that character so well. We need to see. I still think she's got to take that title off of Shida.
I think so, and I'm a Shida fan. I really enjoy her matches.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overall package and just how incredibly, such an incredible job she's doing at the minute, it makes a lot of sense to capitalize on that and put the belt back on Tony. I still want to see a lot of Shida. I hope she doesn't drop the title and drops off our screens, because she's got a lot to offer. And this resurgence, or this definite improvement we've seen, there's still criticism. There's still room for improvement, but things have been better in recent weeks. And I think Hikaru Shida's got a lot to do with that. She's authentic. She's legitimate. And yeah, I really enjoy seeing her in the ring, and I'm sure she'll have a great match at Full Gear against Toni Storm.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait, but please put a title on Tony.
Tony,
put a title on Tony, please. Keith Lee, Shane Taylor continued their war of words at the back. The next match, and it's one of our favorites, is Samoa Joe against Rhett Titus. I mean, it was a very short, hard-hitting, though, match between us. They did to the Code of Honor, which was nice. I like that. There was a lot of hard-hitting stuff in it. It didn't take long before he got caught in the Joe Inogi, and the Kohina clutch finished it off for Samoa Joe. Again, double quick time. But this version of Samoa Joe, he's still got his issues with MJF. Like we've all mentioned on the Dynamite review, MJF's got a lot of enemies going for him at the moment. Joe is one of them, although he's trying to help them by going against the Kingdom and getting his title shot at the same time. But Samoa Joe still continues to be booked really strong in Ring of Honor. Are they doing the run that they try? Are they trying to replicate the run that he had at Ring of Honor? Because he was the longest reigning TV champion, wasn't he, at Ring of Honor before Tony Khan brought it out?
Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was Lethal. But,
maybe Joe was, and then Lethal done it.
Yeah. I'm not 100% on that, but I think his run in AEW has been phenomenal. I think the crowd reaction to him as well when he came out this week was off the charts. It's really, he's a heel.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know it from some of the reactions he gets. And that spot when he moves out the way, it was the high cross body, wasn't it, this week? It just doesn't get old. It's so over. It's so well done. And I'm glad that he's still in that title picture, that he's still being portrayed as the main star that we've always known he is. He always was in TNA. He was booked pretty well at times in WWE, to be honest. I remember the match with Lesnar, and he did some good stuff there. He was plagued by injuries a little bit, and obviously ended up on commentary for a while. But I think this run that he's having is the best of his career. And as I said on the Dynamite review, I certainly hope Samoa Joe gets a world title reign in AEW before he calls it time in his career.
Yeah, I certainly hope so too. Next time they done QTV, QT Marshall's back, Yippee-ki-yay, and he's going to defend his AAA Latin American title against the best luchadors AEW has to offer. So we'll see where that goes in the future. Maybe Commander, Gravity,
Bandito,
Penta, Ray Phoenix. Would you put them in there? I know Phoenix is injured at the minute, but
I think so. Yeah, I think we saw Mystico as well, didn't we, last week? So
yeah, Mystico, yes, the former Sin Cara.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with that. You mentioned Claudio with his interview about Danielson. Either due to, he said he blamed the orange punch on the Rainmaker. He said Okada will pay, but Orange will pay this week because Castagnoli's got the match this week with Orange Cassidy for the title. I would love to see Castagnoli Okada though, Dave.
Yeah, I think both of those matches will happen. Obviously, one next week, and the other match will also happen probably at Full Gear.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, I was thinking they were probably, with Okada being back and obviously the tag team match, they were probably going towards Okada Danielson too. Yeah. So with the injury now, I could definitely see Claudio filling in for Danielson and those two men having an incredible match. I think next week is going to be awesome. You know, that I think probably main event as well. Yeah. And Claudio's another one that's doing some of the best work of his career in ring. And, you know, he's been pretty good as well in terms of his verbal stuff. You know, his vignettes, when he's been backing up the Blackpool Combat Club, he's definitely shows that, you know, he has got bags of personality and stuff that perhaps he was accused of, or, you know, WWE did what they didn't see in him. He's definitely showing that he's a full package and somebody that prior to holding the Ring of Honor world title should have held another world title at this stage in his career way before he did. So I'm really pleased for Claudio as well. Again, really shows that he's a top star and his booking supports that as well.
Yep, agreed. Dax and Ricky was next. I suppose there's a little bit disappointment. I expected more maybe from this match because Dax was such a good singles wrestler. I'm not sure, maybe it just didn't work out the way it should be, but the match was still good, don't get me wrong. And you know, there was some really good matches in there. He did counter the Rochambeau quite nicely as well. Obviously, Big Bill gets involved a little bit, and then Starks pins Dax with a power driver. Actually, one of Dax's moves, he does the power driver to win. Yeah. But that wasn't the end. The House of Black come out. They align themselves with Starks and Big Bill. But then we get the return of LFI. I'm not even going to go there with their full name, but Roosh and all those guys, Preston Vance and all that, come out and align themselves seemingly with FDR. But Dave, that in itself, if they go with that, which will be a 10-man tag, I believe, we need to see that. Dralistico was the other guy, wasn't it? It was Rasmus Dralistico. They brought with the House of Black, and Starks and Bill decide to get out of there. Big Bill decided to get out of there. But that would be a 10-man tag that we'd want to see, right?
Oh, man, definitely. I'm so glad to see Roosh back. I know that last week we had the vignette and it was imminent that we were going to be seeing him again. Yeah. But to see Lost Faction and Gobernable come out to actually support FTR, the babyfaces, was a nice little twist that I didn't expect. I assumed they'd be coming back as heels because that's how we saw them portrayed prior to them going off television. So to see Dralistico, Roosh and Preston Vance form that temporary alliance with FTR is going to make for one hell of a 10-man tag. Again, probably a match that we're going to see at Full Gear, I'd have thought. Yeah, I'm just so glad to see Roosh back. Again, he looked like an absolute star. How he was positioned, walking to the ring, and even at the end when they were celebrating, you know, Roosh is obviously a guy that they think highly of at AEW, and somebody that I hope that we get to see those one-on-one matches against all of House of Black, to be honest. I'd love to see Roosh and Malachi lock up. Some good singles matches to come. But as you say, that 10-man tag is going to be something special.
It is. I can't wait to see that. I'm sure I hope that's the route they're going anyway. But yeah, it'd be great to see Roosh back in some one-on-one action. Set up some nice little dream matches there, as we've seen quite a lot of since Collision has debuted. We go to the back. At this point, Lexi's trying to get a word from Andrade about last week's going into CJ Perry's office. He weren't giving anything away, and that said it's his business. After that, though, the really interesting bit was Statlander, Willow, and Sky Blue. Statlander wanted to know what the crack was over the last couple of weeks. And Sky Blue is just edging away. It's edging as if that she's going to be heading towards the House of Blacks, potentially setting up a tag match with Statlander and Nightingale against Sky Blue and Julia Hart, maybe there, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be the immediate thing to do. But the interesting, Willow's still got a little bit of that eyeshadow, that makeup, you know, after the mist. So you wouldn't be totally 100% in terms of Willow's intentions, or what may happen during that match. So it's set up really well, actually, in terms of Sky aligning herself with Julia and Willow and Chris forming a tag team, but not 100% sure if Chris can trust Willow. Yeah. So again, not a good match. They haven't done a great deal of women's tag team wrestling, but when they have, they've done it pretty well, to be honest. There's been a couple of like street fights that have featured the women in tag teams. So I definitely think that would be a great match, and all 4 women deserve their spot on the pay-per-view, given the run that they've had in recent months, because all 4 of them have been phenomenal, for the women's division in AEW.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that's where they're going. You're right. When they put the tag team matches on, they've been decent. So let's see more of those. Claudia Castagnoli had Tracy Williams, which literally 3 moves and done. He literally stretched him after that a little bit as well, taking that bit of frustration. We then get to the main event of Collision. Before, there was a lovely, great split screen of them guys getting ready to walk out. Samoa Joe interrupts MJF at this point and says, "All you got to do if you want my help is scream my name." JR comes out for commentary at this point, and we get to the main event, and my God, I mean, it is crazy. MJF was doing these jumping backflips over the top rope. You are talking a match here that, I don't know, Dave, I'm lost for words a bit, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was just awesome. It was phenomenal. It was a match that could have very easily headlined any pay-per-view. AEW past or present, it was just a huge success. If I'm nitpicking, I didn't love the use of the table.
Oh, the Dragon Ball or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty insane, to be honest. It looks like it could have gone very wrong. It didn't. But in terms of DQ, I suppose, if as I say, if I'm being really nitpicky, I would have probably preferred the ref to have been knocked down for that. But we have seen in the past in all companies that when it comes to world title matches, they do allow a little bit of leniency in terms of countouts and in terms of DQs. So I don't want to harp on too much about that, but maybe that will be picked up in other places. But in terms of the match itself, the fight forever chant.
Yeah,
that applied so much in this match, because I could have easily watched another hour of it. I thought Kenny was back on top. That was his absolute A game. He was moving around the ring like he was, during his world title run. And MJF just gets better and better. And I was a little bit critical earlier on in the year in terms of MJF's title run, and it was partly because we weren't seeing a great deal of him. That's, I suppose, a very heelish thing to do in terms of calling himself an attraction and only wrestling when he wants to. So as he has transitioned to this kind of babyface role, we're still not 100%, but, he's as babyface as MJF is going to get. For him now to be doing like the double duty at pay-per-views, and for him to be defending his title and having matches more frequently. I mean, he had that match against Juice on Dynamite. He wrestled again here tonight. He's wrestling again on Dynamite next week. So that's a stark difference to how much he was featuring in terms of actual matches earlier on in the year. So I'm absolutely loving this now. And I think this is the world champion that he was born to be. Interested in going into Full Gear. I don't think it's an absolute certainty that he's retaining against Jay White. I think there's enough doubt there. But I think in terms of his title run, in terms of this match, and in terms of everything he's been doing in the past few months, has been absolutely awesome. And he's truly is the face of the company.
He certainly is. I mean, this match, it went, it was given a lengthy time as well, which was great. I mean, there was V triggers, there was heat seekers. He even done the Panama Sunrise, which was countered by Omega up for that as well. Then Omega went for a move. MJF super kicked him. Then he hit the Panama Sunrise. Then he hits the Heat Seeker, and MJF wins the match, which was fantastic of this. Obviously, Don Callis gets involved. He was knocked out. But this match itself was blown away by it, to be honest. And obviously, I know Kenny Omega is great, whoever you put him in the ring with. But, MJF, for me, I think that was the best matchup. I think that was better than the All-In match of Adam Cole.
No, I definitely agree. I definitely agree. And I loved how they did at the end as well. The handshake, the raised
Yeah,
hands, no funny business. It was just
no,
two of the absolute best AEW have got to offer, going out there, putting on one hell of a match, which was loved by the crowd went crazy for it as well.
yeah,
And they'd been sitting there for a few hours and they were kind of
they were.
they were up for every big move. They were in it for every near fall. Um, just just what AEW does best, to be honest with you. Puts on sensational matches, bell to bell. The quality was brilliant. As I said, I don't know what you feel about the table and whether that was kind of necessary or whether they could have done it differently. But when you're getting a match that good, it's hard really to criticize any element of it.
Yeah, I'm not going to criticize it. Was it needed? No. Did I mind? No.
Yeah.
We really didn't care. The match was so good. I think that for me, Collision won the show of the week. Very close with NXT, though, I would have to say. But I'm going to give Collision a 9 out of 10 for this week.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree as well. I'd have to go with another 9. Similar like Dynamite, I said 8.5, 9.
Yeah.
This Collision with this main event, absolutely a 9. Um, I mean, you could even argue a 10, but I think a 9's about right. But they didn't do much wrong this week on Collision. I thought it was a great show. The crowd made such a difference as well. I thought they were really good in Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah. I thought, as you say, staunch WWE territory as well. But I think it just shows huge wrestling fans, regardless of company, they just love live wrestling. And when AEW were putting on a show like that, they quite rightly enjoyed it and loved every second of it. So hopefully we'll see more of the same now the next few months. There was a period over the summer when some of the venues, some of the attendances were a little bit questionable. And we've spoke about perhaps utilizing some more intimate venues for shows. But that was absolutely perfect last night. So it kind of like, if there's those venues and those type of places that are desperate for AEW action, then I totally understand why Tony Khan wants to do more of a tour than having like just the Jacksonville venue, for example, or the Impact Zone, which Impact used to do. The fact that they're on tour, visiting different towns and cities. Last night showed how good that can be.
Yeah, definitely can. You mentioned off air last week that I was channeling my inner Excalibur when I was going through our events that we're going to attend.
Yeah.
I'm now calling myself Adcalibur as we go through these last few events that we're doing to round off the year. Yesterday, I was in RCWA, fantastic event. Paul Robinson was there of the Swords of Essex. It was actually run by Will Ospreay's mum, and she has her own Titantron of music.
That's cool.
She is Mrs. McMahon of RCWA. She was brilliant to come out. It was great to see her and have a quick chat with Will Ospreay's mum. Loved it. The show was great. Listen, these type of shows, it had like 200 people. We had a Titantron. It had smoke. I was sitting with CJ from Ignite, who invited me down there. So big thanks to CJ. Big thanks to Dave and the crew at RCWA. Andy has just been to Impact Wrestling or TNA. We got press tickets for those. A big thanks to the guys at TNA. We hope to, we're definitely going to be back next year. I believe Andy's already sorted that out. So we're going to be back at TNA next year in Coventry. Hopefully we'll get some TNA guys on the show pretty soon to have a conversation with. Next week, I am at Rev Pro, so I come back off my hollybobs and straight back into wrestling. I go to 229 to watch Revolution Pro Wrestling. They've announced 3 matches on the show already, but I'll run them down on Saturday before when I do a pod on Saturday. I'll run them down because I have the whole card and I'd rather run down the whole card there. But RCWA, I will say one thing: Mark True, Corey McRae tore the house down with a singles match. It was a fantastic singles match. So we got that. The following week after that, we are all back in our spiritual home of 96 Shenley Road in Borehamwood for the Ignite Curtain Call 2. Myself, Dave, Andy, Rachel will all be there. Dave, I think your dad will be there as well.
He'll be there. He loves himself some Ignite. So.
He loves himself. So now my lad will be there and his daughter will be there. So we're going to have a massive Team Buckle presence out there at Ignite on the 12th. The following week, I think there's a show somewhere, but then the 25th, you and Andy are up to SWA in Shropshire. Got a big card stacked. We'll run through that at a later date as well once all the matches have been announced. But there's some big names going to SWA. The next day, myself and Andy are at Camden Town in the Electric Ballroom for a bit of Progress Wrestling. Warren Banks' last match against his trainer, Gene Money, who we will see at Ignite in a couple of weeks' time to see if he retains his title. Following that, I think you're heading off to BCCW.
Yep.
In December, we're going to hit. I'm going to RCWA in December on December the 9th to go and see their last show of the year. I can't remember what it was called now. It was a good show. They even sell food there. Hot dogs are £2. So I didn't go for it. I had my Maccas afterwards like I normally do. But yeah, they do that as well. You're off to BCCW. I'll be off to RCWA. Squished in between that, we've got the Team Buckle Christmas Jollies.
Yeah.
December the 2nd.
And AWW.
How can I forget?
Yeah.
When's that?
A lot going on. It's some point. I think it's the first or second weekend in November. But yeah, that's another one I've been trying to get there for the last few months, but I've been double booked, weddings and different things. So yeah, I'm making my debut as a spectator there, and I'm really looking to see, obviously, friends of the show, Donnie and Ant, who we had on a couple of months ago. Yeah, and of course, the Smiler. Yeah.
I know Adam Jones, champion. Yeah, he's there as well. So we're going to be going to see that. So we're going to round off the year in a bit of style. We're attending a lot of events. And so we've got our Christmas jollies as well, which you'll see some pictures of that plastered over social media prior to some of the team getting drunk. Myself and Dave will not be those two individuals. We will be the good ones. I'll be partaking in a few drinks, but just not as many as the others. We may have some surprises on the show that day as well. Some of the lads that we've met over this year may show up. We may do, depending on their booking statuses and stuff like that. Obviously, we don't want it to get in the way of bookings. But that is the year to end at the moment for us as we move into 2024. But guys, again, thanks so much for every single one of you that tunes in, listen to our boring voices, watching us on YouTube and listening to us all the time. Please keep it going because we want to try and climb that ladder a bit higher. We want to be as high as we can. So if you do, just stick us on. It's a 40-minute show sometimes. Sometimes it runs a bit over. If we have a lot to talk about, it can run over that time. But it's much appreciated for every single one of you that have listened, watched, whatever you do. Just keep on doing it. It makes our lives, well, it doesn't make our life easy, but it makes us happier to see us climbing that thing. So we love what we do here as we wouldn't do it. So please keep it up. But guys, that was my Excalibur moment. This has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. My out of office is going on now. He has been the problem child, Mr. Dave Robinson, and we will be back. They'll soon be back this week with some more stuff. So keep it all looked. Go onto Twitter, HTT Buckle, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Hitting the Turnbuckle. Just search Hitting the Turnbuckle. You'll see us big purple logo. You can't miss it. But until next time, everybody, buckle down and stay safe. Goodbye.